Before I get into the topic of this particular video, I just want to express a couple of things that I feel like maybe I haven't properly addressed and I've only really discussed via Twitter and the communities page here on YouTube. But back in January, on the 10th of 2021, YouTube falsely struck down my John Chris Volusi video. This video had almost 7,000 views and was struck down for cyberbullying and harassment, both of which never occur in that video whatsoever. I have been actively trying to get YouTube to remove the false strike from my channel and have my video restored. However, this seems to be falling on deaf ears. I'm going to continue to fight to try to get this video restored. I want you guys to understand that if you've watched it or haven't had the opportunity to see it, there's nothing in this video that constitutes as cyberbullying or harassment. This actually started a lot earlier than January of 2021. Back in October of 2020, on the 26th, I received a warning strike against the channel, and my John of God video was falsely flagged off the platform as well. At the time, because I had never received a warning strike or even a guideline strike on my channel whatsoever, I didn't really know how to approach the situation. So I deleted the video about John of God because it really wasn't getting that much attention, and it felt like no one really cared about that video altogether. So I removed it and tweeted to YouTube to remove the warning strike from my channel, at which point they told me they couldn't remove the warning strike because I had deleted the questionable content. Again, this was also flagged for cyberbullying and harassment, which never occurred. At no point in either one of these videos was there ever name calling, a call to action, anything that would be considered berating either of these individuals. I simply wrote a script and discussed the allegations and potential charges or actual charges that were placed against these two particular individuals. You tend to hear a lot of things about how YouTube tries to protect a certain group of undesirable individuals, and a lot of times you kind of just ignore it because you don't want to believe it's true or it just sounds crazy. But after this has happened to me, and seeing that it has happened to other people on the platform, I kind of have to raise my eyebrow and question, is YouTube really protecting these kinds of people? So with all that being said, I'm going to continue to do what it is that I do here. You guys are familiar with the content, you know what we're about, and this video is not going to be any different. So I was laying in bed browsing through Twitter, as I often do late at night, and came across a thread about Dan Schneider and Brian Peck and Drake Bell. These all, of course, piqued my interest, as I have covered all three of these individuals in the past. As a matter of fact, the Dan Schneider videos came out 6 and 7 months ago, and the Drake Bell video came out 5 months ago. So of course, as soon as I see this information, I think to myself, well, this is relevant. I've covered it before, and this seems new, and people need to hear about it. So in a series of tweets that came out from Obscure Nickelodeon, I'm going to provide that information to you and, of course, gather your thoughts and see where we stand. So the beginning of the thread reads as follows. A former actress in Hollywood who wants to remain anonymous worked on The Amanda Show and many other Nickelodeon shows and Viacom as a background character and guest star. They contacted me yesterday with some interesting information regarding Amanda Bynes, Drake Bell, etc. This person revealed to me that when working on the set of The Amanda Show, that Dan Schneider would regularly hold Amanda from behind like he was her boyfriend or something. Her parents would stand there and let her suffer. For the auditions for the females, they were required to wear spaghetti-strap open-toed shoes, and Dan preferred pigtails on his female characters. When this person landed a small role in Unfabulous back in 2004, Dan's assistant told her mom that they would send her on a graduation party to celebrate for landing the roles. This girl's mother stepped in and said that she was not going to go alone. They then insisted and pushed, saying it was a requirement for them to go alone and meet the producer. It was also a no-shoe party, and they asked if there was a problem photographing her feet. This mother kept denying the people at Viacom, even though they said all the parents will get to go celebrate with the kids when they get parts. Both her and her mom left. This person tried to speak up about this years ago, however, producer Marty Weiss shut her down and has repetitively done that. This person has remained anonymous since then. I just want to stop right here before I continue reading these tweets and point out that I've mentioned Marty Weiss in a previous video. Marty Weiss is also named in a documentary called An Open Secret and is audio recorded admitting to the sexual abuse of Evan Henze. So this part right here is kind of what solidifies this as believable. Before we continue, I have to tell you guys that everything in these threads, as far as I can tell, I can't prove and are speculation. This thread continues stating, this individual told me that there are allegedly 4 abused victims from the Amanda Show. Victim A, Amanda Bynes, was Dan's golden child and was his absolute favorite because her parents did not interfere at all. She would binge eat all day from depression. They even fed her Adderall to make her more hyper for scenes. Once again, going back to mention Marty Weiss and the Open Secret documentary, it's mentioned multiple times that a lot of the actors were encouraged or coerced into consuming alcohol while underage or taking drugs such as Adderall and even cocaine. Again, this kind of solidifies some of that speculation. Victim B, Jenna Morrison, was Debbie on The Amanda Show. Victim C is Jamie Snow, also from The Amanda Show, and allowed the abuse and basically grooms the girls for Nickelodeon now. And then victim D, Drake Bell, allegedly abused by a producer from The Amanda Show that is not Dan Schneider. The anonymous contact also mentioned that there was another actress who experienced abuse from Dan and is allegedly Jeanette McCurdy. We've mentioned this in the previous video. This doesn't really come as a shocker, but back in 2014, there were nudes leaked that apparently, quote unquote, were not an accident and were sent to Dan as well. According to the thread, this was around the time that she had quit Sam and Cat abruptly after multiple issues on set. Things like being sick with a bad fever and still having to work and so much more. More abusers that Dan messed around with outside of his show are allegedly Francesca Smith, who voiced Helga Pataki, allegedly abused by Dan Schneider, and had gotten other roles, again, allegedly, because of this. According to this thread, Jessica Alba was allegedly abused by Dan and because of her looks was put out there more to the public and abused by others, and that is one of the reasons why she became so famous after Never Been Kissed. This person was publicly shut down multiple times. No one could hear her story. She now wants this to be revealed anonymously to get the message out there of what is really going on behind Nickelodeon as well as throughout Disney and even in MTV shows. In another separate thread by Obscure Nickelodeon, it goes on to read as follows. An anonymous source close to Drake Bell's family has come forward to me. The producer that allegedly molested Drake Bell that was mentioned in a previous thread is Brian Peck. Brian Peck is a dialogue coach who worked on Dan Schneider's shows such as All That and The Amanda Show. In 2004, he was convicted on a lewd act against a child and oral copulation of a person under 16. The identity of this person was sealed, but what we did know is that it was an actor. This person claims that the anonymous minor was Drake Bell who came forward. Drake Bell and Brian Peck worked on The Amanda Show together. Brian Peck was a dialogue coach. The Amanda Show was filmed from February 1999 to January 2001. Drake Bell would have filmed this show from the ages of 12 to 14. Brian Peck was 39 to 41. This was the time period he was working with Brian Peck. When the news broke about Dan Schneider being let go from Nickelodeon in March of 2018, this person had a feeling Dan or someone on his team would do something to taint Drake Bell's reputation. The source claims that when Drake Bell's ex-girlfriend Melissa Lingefelt came out last year accusing him of verbal and physical abuse during the relationship in the late 2000s, it was because she was allegedly paid by Dan Schneider or someone close to Dan's team to reveal this information so that Drake Bell's reputation would be destroyed further. Behind destroying Drake Bell's reputation is a similar situation to why certain people in the industry want to destroy Amanda Bynes' reputation as well so that they would have no credibility. They did this to make sure that even if Drake had come forward, they could say this person is not credible and they have all of these past legal issues. That way, anything he says is written off as too crazy to be true. I apologize if my narration of some of these tweets are a little bit rough. It seems that they may be written by a person who possibly doesn't speak English as their first language, and I mean that as no offense to them. It just seems like the way that they're worded is not how you would typically write something in proper English, or potentially a young person. It's hard for me to say. But this piqued my interest into looking into Dan Schneider again, and while I'm not so sure that I can really find any new information, I did find a couple of more screenshots that just, I don't know, come off as strange. Maybe there's a bias there, but in this one image you can see that Dan has his arm around Jeanette McCurdy and he's clearly drinking. They're clearly in a nightclub of sorts, because typically underage individuals that enter any kind of setting where there may be alcohol involved, normally they would have to get a little X stamp or mark on their hand, which you can clearly see here. In another picture, we have Dan and Miranda Cosgrove. Once again, arm over the shoulder, just feels really weird. And then we have another screenshot of a number of pictures of feet that were allegedly sent to Dan Schneider with names or text written on them. And then even more interesting following that is a set of screenshots that I managed to locate by an account called Exposing Dan Schneider. And in these two particular pictures, you see a message between Dan Schneider and an unnamed individual. At least they are unnamed as far as I can tell. And he is requesting images of said individual's feet. In the first set of messages, Dan is saying to the anonymous person. And I want to clarify that when I say anonymous person in this particular context, I'm not referring to the anonymous contact who dropped all of the previous information that I just offered to you. But in these two particular screenshots, you're going to see Dan speaking to an anonymous individual, and those messages read as follows. Taylor's toes are cute, but your toes are cuter. Come on, show off a little. No one has to know whose perfect foot it is, except for me. Now unleash those puppies. The fans will thank you. And the individual says, I can't. And Dan replies, not with that attitude. Really now, let's get this done. If you're not ready for marketing and networking yet, I thought you could handle it. If you can't do this, I can have Paula ready in a flash. The contact then sends Dan a picture of their feet, and Dan replies, epic. Can we make it more Nick friendly? Write my name and we're all set. You're doing great as a first-time foot model. Now, I have to mention that in the comments on these two particular threads, it was pointed out that the name Dan Rap at the top of these screenshots does not have a verified check mark, which is not only something that is present on Twitter, but also on Instagram. So it's kind of hard to verify if this is legitimately Dan Schneider or if this is someone pretending to be Dan Schneider. I can't really speculate any further on that particular instance, but it definitely fits the MO, but this could also be someone that is aware of the alleged foot fetish of Dan Schneider. I'd take this a step further and say that even the profile picture doesn't match the official Dan Schneider account on Twitter. I've checked this myself and it doesn't line up. However, I don't know when these messages went out, when Dan Schneider received his check mark, or when the profile picture was changed, if ever. So as always, I'm going to send this video off in typical fashion. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you feel like this thread of tweets was beneficial? Given what we think we know, does this add more context to the Dan Schneider situation? Is there more in regards to Nickelodeon that we're not seeing or that we could look for? Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave me a comment again down below. Really helps out. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and consider subscribing down below. Feel free to give me a follow on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/digital_goon. I don't really have a schedule, but I do stream frequently so that if you would like to have a live interaction or ask any other questions in regards to some of the videos that I make, you're more than welcome to do so. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.